Wonder what's in this box. Don't remember putting this here. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get away from that thing. Okay, I'll go to South Carolina. No, maybe Georgia. Maybe Chris Master One can keep me somewhere, anywhere that thing's not. Okay. Let's hit the road. Oh, hi there. Hello, this is Billy Core from the Nostalgia Mall, and as you can tell, I really don't have the best relationship with these type of computers. But we will proceed with the video, because I'm sure there's folks out there who might be interested in this, as well as my story behind this as well. What we're looking at today is the eMachines eTower 466ID, manufactured sometime in the year 2000. Specs of this computer: has a 466 megahertz Intel Celeron, a socket 370 Celeron that is, 64 megabytes of memory, SD memory that is, 8.4 gigabyte hard drive, 5-speed DVD-ROM drive, which was quite impressive for the time, 56K data/fax modem, and 3D 4 megabyte AGP graphics. You can also see this computer has an abundance of stickers, including this one right here, as well as a little sticker advertising the fact that this has a DVD-ROM on it. Watch DVD movies on your PC. And there's the DVD-ROM up here, which still kind of works for the most part. At some point in this computer's life, the original owner added this CD-RW drive. One thing I've never really liked about eMachines is the fact that the optical drives had these very proprietary looking bezels on them that kind of match the case. You can see this with the original DVD drive up here, but this aftermarket CD-RW drive, you can kind of see the metal on it, and it just doesn't really blend in well at all. Have your standard issue floppy drive there. And down here, behind this little window, we have a game port for a joystick and one USB 1.1 port. Okay, right here we have a power supply. Now these eMachine power supplies are very notorious for failing. Thankfully this one still works. And here's our motherboard I/O. We've got PS2 keyboard and mouse, one USB 1.1 port, serial, parallel, VGA out, and sound card connections there. And down here we have a PCI dial-up modem and a PCI Ethernet card. I believe that's 3Com. I actually added that in there myself. And here's a serial number for this computer. And another little sticker right here. And on this side we have a technical support sticker for eMachines. And on the opposite side we have a giant eMachines E. Okay, looking inside the system, there's our 466 megahertz Intel Celeron. Got our two optical drives up there. There's the original and there's the aftermarket. There's our floppy drive, and here's our 8.4 gig hard drive, which is original to this system. This was made by Seagate. We get two PCI slots and two ISA slots, which is really nice. There's our modem, and there's our Ethernet card. And this system originally had 64 megabytes of memory, but I think I upgraded it a couple of weeks ago to 96 megs. And the CMOS battery was dead, but I replaced it with a fresh one. And look how tiny that power supply is. It's a ISP 120S made in Korea. And you get this nice sticker down here on the bottom giving you the motherboard jumper settings. When I got this computer the other week, it was pretty dusty in here, but I did clean it out with some compressed air. Capacitors look pretty good, I believe. Okay, so what was with my little freak out at the beginning of this video? Well, you see, the first computer I ever had to call my own that I didn't have to share with my parents was a computer quite similar to this, from the same era actually. It was an eMachines eTower. It was slightly older than that. It was one that had the the infamous Never Obsolete sticker on it. This one surprisingly does not. It looks a little bit different, but the hardware is extremely similar. You see, in, I believe it was April of 2000, my parents decided it was time for me to have a computer of my own. And so one Friday, my dad and I went to the local Best Buy, and we purchased a eMachines desktop computer quite similar to this one. And I used that computer for a couple of years, and that thing ran like total garbage. I mean, it was reliable. I didn't have too many system crashes or anything, but it was so slow. I think it only had 32 megabytes of memory, which this one has double that, surprisingly. And so it had a lot of bloatware on it too from the factory. Had Windows 98 Second Edition on there. That was about one of the few good things about that computer. And it just ran like a dog. No matter what I would do with that computer, it would take ages. Sometimes it would get to the point where I would just give up and start using my dad's computer instead, which was faster. And I do not have many pleasant memories of that computer, unfortunately. And it was replaced about a year later with a Gateway in 2001 with a Pentium 3. And it was the complete opposite of that computer, but not in a good way. Whereas the eMachines was slow but reliable, the Gateway was fast but unreliable, and that's a story for another day. And so I always joke about these eMachines computers, how garbage they were. And so a couple of weeks ago, in a lot of computers that I got from a former workplace of mine, this was one of them that was included. And so I spent a couple of days tinkering with this computer and semi-restoring it. It really didn't need much. Computer still worked and everything. All it really needed was a dusting and a clock battery replacement, and that made it as good as new. And I'm going to have to admit that this computer does run a bit better than my original eMachines from 20 years ago. And one big difference I forgot to mention is mine had a standard CD-ROM drive, but this one has a DVD-ROM. I think one of the big things you got to remember is that when I had that original eMachines back in the year 2000, I was only 10 years old, and I didn't know at the time how to properly use a computer yet. So I would just load it up with everything I could think of. For crying out loud, I even had Bonzi Buddy on the stupid thing because I didn't know better at the time. And so I figured in this video we would do a couple of things. For one thing, I actually have a restore CD for this computer. It's not the exact one, but it's close enough, so we're going to take a look at that. And we might load a game or two up on here and see how it runs. Okay, I have it in place of the Carolina Flyer temporarily, because I'm a glutton for punishment apparently. And so let's power it on. I remember my original eMachine had this exact same clicky power button. There we go. We're going to put it into BIOS. If I can remember the key for that. And apparently that wasn't the key. Weird error. Okay, found the right key for the BIOS, and this is one of the most unique looking BIOSes I've ever used. This was very common to see in the 486 days, maybe even the 386 days, the Win BIOS. Well, it hang in there for a little while on eMachines apparently. And so let's just take a tour of this, and you can use the mouse with it. Kind of reminds me of the UEFI BIOSes you see these days. There's your hard disk info, date and time, working just fine thanks to the new battery. So it's pretty much your standard BIOS stuff, but in a prettier package. Don't need to boot to OS 2. Bunch of stuff I could really care less about. Okay, we're going to do a complete factory reset on this computer with a eMachines restore CD that I found on archive.org. This isn't for the exact model of this computer. This is a 466 ID. This is for a 466IX. It's I think the two computers were completely identical. The only difference is the IX didn't have a DVD-ROM drive in it, but that's the only real difference. So it still works just fine using it on this computer. But if anyone has a restore CD for a eTower 466 ID, please let me know. So let's not save the changes. Okay, booting from the CD-ROM. I did have to use this with the CDRW drive that's in this computer, because for some reason the DVD-ROM drive doesn't like the CD. And so we have several options. We have restore Windows 98 by formatting the hard drive, restore Windows 98 without formatting, and we can just boot to a DOS prompt. What we want to do now is just do a complete format. Loading the CD driver. I do remember using the restore CD on my original eMachine 20 years ago. And the process was, I think, pretty much identical to this. We do want to format. It's going to do a full format, so it will take a few minutes. Okay, just about there. And after this, it should start copying the image over. And I don't want a drive label. Okay. This restore process is actually quite similar to the restore process on my Toshiba Satellite 2505 CDS. And I think HP Pavilions at the time had a similar process as well. I guess this must have been standard procedure for restore CDs in the late 90s, early 2000s. But it's doing a lot of inflating right now. It's copying over the Windows 98 CAD files. So again, this is going to take a few minutes. Okay, restore is complete, and it actually, off camera, ejected the CD for me. And says store the CD-ROM in a safe location. I will do that. So we'll press the any key to reboot. And I temporarily connected a PS2 keyboard to this computer because I currently have a USB keyboard connected, and the first part of the out-of-box experience of Windows 98, the USB keyboard does not work. So here we are, Microsoft Windows 98. This is 2nd edition, the superior edition of Windows 98, I may add. Of course, first boot takes the longest. Following the sound card driver for DOS. Kind of an oddball command there, but okay. Now this is very interesting. It actually comes with a lesson on using the mouse. And this is actually the same mouse tutorial that came with Windows 3.1, although it is updated quite a bit because it has a Windows 9X style look there. But this is essentially the same tutorial that came with Windows 3.1. But we will skip that for now. Oh, that's right, I can't use the USB keyboard, I gotta use the PS2. Okay, now it wants some user information. Let me grab this keyboard down here. Nostalgia Mall. Totally read that. Okay, now to put the product key in. Okay, Windows 98 saved all information, so we'll hit finish. And it's picking up the monitor driver there, as Windows 98 loves to do. So we'll just breeze through that. And it's picking up the Ethernet card I have installed in here, and it's old enough for Windows 98 to already have a driver for. So we'll go ahead and let it do its thing. We will restart later. Okay, now it's picked up the USB keyboard, so after this we won't need that PS2 one anymore. And it's picking up my USB KVM switch there. And keyboard's working now. Yeah. Okay, time zone. We are in the Eastern time zone, and for some reason it thinks it's an hour later than it really is. So we'll adjust that. And there's our favorite Windows 98 drums. Final reboot. There we go. And I will change that name to Billy. Don't know if you heard that, but this install defaults to the Musica sound scheme. My original eMachine had the same sound scheme from the factory. And you can see we have a plethora of desktop icons to choose from. So let's see what all's installed on here. Still booting up. Oh yes, this was on my original eMachine. This is the I don't know, I forget what it's called, but it got in the way like crazy. But yet I never got rid of it for some reason. I was afraid if I got rid of it, it would break the computer. It's eMachine iWare, it looks like. eWare. That must be a typo somewhere there, but this would basically give you shortcuts to random websites like eBay, tickets.com, and the Weather Channel, and proflowers.com for some reason. So just for the sake of completeness, we will leave that running. Let's see, we've got Adobe Acrobat 3.01. Got some online services. We've got Microsoft Works along with Microsoft Money. Not sure what version, but I do know that this is Microsoft Works 2000. Not Work Suite, unfortunately, so no Microsoft Word. But we do get the Microsoft Works word processor, like so. Interesting noises the computer makes. And this is Microsoft Works 2000 from 1999. Lovely masterpiece there. Another interesting program that comes on this computer is Audio Station, which may look quite familiar to you guys. This is quite similar to the same version of Audio Station that would have come on a Packard Bell. Pretty neat, huh? And I guess this would be a good excuse to do a Canyon test. This has a crystal sound chip on it. So yeah, it sounds like standard FM synthesis, although a little bit different. And so let's check out our system properties. And you can see it shows up as an eTower 466iX when it's not. And we got 96 megs of RAM as I assumed. And we have a ATI Rage Pro Turbo AGP video card, which is built into the motherboard with 4 megs of video memory. We have a Connexent 56K PCI modem. I believe that's the same modem that was on my original eMachine 20 years ago, and I remember that modem was a piece of junk. It didn't feel like 56K to me. It felt a lot slower than that. Our 3Com network card, and Crystal Sound Fusion audio. Okay, let's do a little bit of gaming on this computer and see how well it handles that. And we're going to play a game that I used to play on my original eMachine back in the day, and that's the original Midtown Madness, which I just installed a few minutes ago. Hopefully it shouldn't run too terrible. I remember on my original, it didn't run amazing, but it ran well enough. And it's going to detect the presence of a hardware accelerator, which I believe this card does have. Can't remember if I ever used it on my original or not. And is it? Yes, it's using the video card. And it's set to the gamepad. Put my name in. And we'll just do a cruise. Turn off the cops because they're annoying in this game. I always personally go with the Ford Mustang. Red, of course. So let's see how well this game runs, shall we?
Get ready to take a cruise through the Windy City. See all the sights of the beautiful city of Chicago.
Well, it's a little bit on the choppy side. I have seen much worse, though. There we go. That's usually how I play it. So this is probably roughly how it would have gone on my original eMachine back in the day. Maybe a little bit slower back then because I didn't have as much memory. Remember, I think I was only running on 32 megs of memory, but on this one we're up to 96. And even on this one it was originally 64, so it was already double of what I originally had. Yeah, I used to play this game all the time, along with its sequel. Let's get on the expressway. For some reason the road signs aren't rendering properly. Ew. Don't worry, I do not drive like this in real life. Most of the time. Into the expressway. Hey. Okay, this car's about had it. And the car's dead. But it has been fixed by some miracle. We'll just call it roadside assistance. Get into this place. I think that was a mime. Okay, we're going to test a DOS game on here. On my original eMachine, I never really played DOS games on there. By that point in my life, I had grown out of that stuff, unfortunately, looking back. But let's just see how it goes by running the old favorite, Sky Road's Christmas Special. Music's a little bit quiet, but it sounds fairly accurate. Every time I touch metal in this room, I get shocked. Let's enable the joystick, or the USB gamepad. And yes, USB gamepads do work on DOS games as long as you're running it within Windows. So yeah, music sounds a little bit too scratchy. I've heard it a lot worse though in this game, I'll tell you that. And there we go, sounds pretty okay. And I have tried full-fledged DOS mode on this computer, and unfortunately when you boot into DOS mode, unlike a Packard Bell, you do not have any conventional memory at all with the drivers that it uses, which is unfortunate. And no matter how I configure config.sys and autoexec.bat, I can't get enough memory out of this computer to properly run any DOS game. So if you want a DOS game on here, you gotta do it from within Windows, which still works fairly well. By the way, I also forgot to mention on this stupid little bar down here, you occasionally get ads down here. Yeah, that's nice to have on your computer, isn't it? And look at this, I just noticed we get Netscape Navigator, or Communicator, I mean, which it's going to try to install somehow. But anyway, I guess that's about all to show of this computer. I personally think this computer isn't as bad as the one I had 20 years ago. I think the problem with the one 20 years ago was, one, it wasn't quite as powerful as this one, and two, I wasn't responsible enough at the time to properly maintain a computer, and so a combination of those two things just spelled disaster for that poor computer, unfortunately. But this one, I think, seems maybe just a teeny bit better. Of course, I haven't done a whole lot with it, mainly because we just restored it from the CD. But I think if it were bogged down a little bit more with more software and goodies like that, we may be able to tell a little bit of a difference, but I don't know. We may see this computer again at some point. Don't know if or when. But until next time, this is Billy Core, signing off. Thank you for visiting the Nostalgia Mall. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You may also support me on Patreon if you would like. Until next time, this is Billy Core, signing off.